All right, let's get going with Bitcoin here. So as we can see, it's pretty obvious for the most people that we are in this big range right now, where you basically took out last Tuesday. We took out the highs, and during the dump on Thursday, we did take out the lows. So we did suspect this would happen because we talked about it last week. So we did tap into the 886 fib. So you took the fibs from the lows to the highs from these edge waves, and then we were looking at the 886 fib. And since we did come down to it here, we tapped it. We were suspecting that we were gonna take out this previous low that we did back here. So we did do that. We have a nice liquidity sweep right there. I did think we were gonna push lower initially also, start pushing into these 89 and 90k levels. But we had a very nice SFP there, and then we started pushing towards the upside. So this is where it's a bit sort of 50-50 right now of the market here, where we basically have to wait for confirmations. Because if we look on this as on the larger scale, we can see that we are in this sort of corrective structure, where you have your bigger sort of impulse towards the downside, you have a push making a lower high, and then you get that break towards the downside. Since we did take out this low right here, we did break below it right here, this structure can be done. There is a possibility that this C wave is already done, put in here, and that we are just gonna start pushing towards the upside here, get a pullback, and then start breaking towards new highs and higher than that. But I do have some things to worry about here, so I'm just gonna explain that real quick. So with this structure, we do have 5 waves towards the downside, and a C wave is typically 5 waves most of the time. I'm gonna have to say that most of the time it's 5 waves. So the thing that we have to look for is this move up here gonna be sort of a 3-wave move up, because if it's a 3-wave move up, you put in some type of lower high still, and you start having pushes towards the downside in a 5-wave structure again, and then you are likely to reclaim these lows and come back into these 89 90k level for Bitcoin. So there is just this local structure that we will have to watch for. There is also the possibility here that we did have this initial impulse from the low is your A, and then your B, and then this is your C, and you're currently in some sort of a corrective move where you are starting to build a structure towards the downside here. If this is your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. So that's gonna be your initial thing to look for in the bearish case. Easy invalidation of this sort of ABC into a 5-way structure towards the downside is gonna be if we take out these highs right here at the C highs, then you are likely going to push higher than that. And if you do push higher than that, it's also highly unlikely that this ABC structure is done, and you're still likely in a C wave, and you could push up something like this, and then you reject here, and that's how you're pushing down. Bullish case is that we are in a 5-wave structure, meaning that this is your 1, at you are in a 3-wave still. You have a 4 and a 5. So if you do make this structure, so first and foremost, you break the high at 95,860. You start seeing this as a corrective way. So this is your A, B, C. So this is the same as last week, basically, where we ranged, and you have the possibility to make a ABC sort of correction pattern, even though it's mostly some in like a bull flag, very similar to back here. If we look back here, you can see that we did have that very similar pattern wise. So there is the possibility that we do create that as well here, where you have your correction wave in sort of an ABC, and that you are starting to initially push up here, still finishing this 3 wave. So this was going to be your, so in a 3 wave you also have five waves. So this one is going to be your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. So yeah, so initially take out the high, and you're likely to push up into at least at like 98.9 initially, and then you will have to look for that pullback here into this sort of retest region at 96, and you would like to see us from some type of bull flag here and then take out the high at the 3. If you do get this overall structure towards the upside, even if you get a rejection back here, you're still very likely to just make some type of corrective structure back into some type of support around these sort of mid ranges here, into this sort of 95 range, and you're very likely to start pushing here again towards the upside as your bull case, pushing into this B high first and foremost. That's going to be 102, and this is likely going to push even further into this 108 all-time high. So that's if you do get this sort of 5-wave structure towards the upside. Bear case is that we are basically just trapping longs right now, and you have this A, B, and you're still in your C wave. You make a lower high, and then you start breaking down from there. So it's going to be very important for us to look at, because wave 3 and wave C can be very similar. So it's going to be a tricky one. But yeah, so for first, take out the high, then your chances of having a bullish outcome increases. And then you have to look at the structure wise towards the upside. So I would still be looking for us to have some sort of pullback. I would like to see us make basically a higher low here and then start pushing again. If you fail to make this higher low after something like a sweep or just from where we are right now, so it's the same as we did last week, almost exactly the same, where you have this initial impulse towards upside here, and then you can pull back, and then you have to make this higher low before you can actually get that further impulse towards upside. So that's the same thing we're looking for here. You have your initial impulse, you need to get that pullback. If it's going to be from here, I don't know, we can also push up here, then get that initial pullback, make that higher low, and then you can start picking up. Potential long scalp opportunity could be something like a retest of this previous breakout. Also, you have this sort of mid-range area. If you fail to make this higher low and you start breaking down into these lows at 93.7, then you are very likely to just have this as a, so you basically just have some type of corrective structure. You take out the high, and then you start having impulses towards the downside again. And that's likely going to push you at least back into these lows at 92, possibly even to the lows at 91, and likely into this daily key level at 90k. And that's where I would be looking for us to bottom out and then have that larger impulse moves towards the upside here into 98k, 104k, and so on. So those are basically the different ways I would be looking at Bitcoin right now. Yeah, so just if we do make a lower high right now also, so if you do make a lower high right now, there is the chance that you're still in this corrective structure towards the downside. And then if you break this low, it's basically going to confirm that you're going to push lower. So yeah, that's what we are going to have to look for. Take out the high. We start building some type of bullish structure or momentum towards the upside. We have a bunch of news next week. We have FOMC and we have Trump stepping in as well. So expect a very sort of manipulative week even. If we look at liquidation heat maps on the weekly for Bitcoin, we can see that we are starting to build a lot towards the upside. we can see that right now most of liquidity is laying around 95, 96, which is going to be right around 96k. So it's going to be right above these highs. That's where most of the liquidity is laying right now. So I would suspect that we do take out these highs before moving lower. But yeah, after taking out something like this liquidity right here is where you have to, when you have to look for that higher low. Take out the liquidities, look for that pushback, make some sort of higher low right here to keep going towards the upside. Take out these highs at 97. And then you could have some type of 5-wave structure towards the upside into possibly this previous week low at 98, 99k. If we look on the 24-hour liquidity as well, there's not going to be a lot because it's weekend, but yeah, you can see here it's the same here. 95.5 is where you're looking to take out the liquidity. But as we can see here, like we had a very much drop right here. So it's a bit difficult to count structures or waves inside of these, same as on this wave down here. For Solana, let's have a look at this. So Solana, let's start with the bullish case actually. We want to be bulls. So I have it all drawn out here. We can see that majority of the liquidity is sitting up towards 260. That's where most of your liquidity is laying right now. You do have this potential bearish harmonic, which is a bearish harmonic because you are suspecting a pullback after hitting these prices. But until then, you could suspect it as a bullish confluence. So if I were to remove that real quick, yes, so we can see what I'm writing here. So the bullish case here is that our corrective structure is already done. So we can see here via the 86 that on this push down where Bitcoin did tap into the 886 and we took out the lows, Solana and ETH, well, ETH I think did tap the 86. Solana did not tap the 886, which is why we're seeing this kind of strength right here at the 786. So as long as we stay above this 786, Solana has a pretty high chance to start pushing towards the upside. If it's only going to be a lower high, then we can still push towards the downside. But with confirmation, just a overall confirmation of a breakout here would be to flip this high. Flip this high and tap into this 886 level at 228 is where you start seeing a bullish structure build up, likely up into 250s and 260 to 270 even. And that does mean that you have your corrective structure done already, and that this right here was your ABC correction, and that you are building this sort of 5-wave impulse towards upside here where you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Common 3 target here is gonna be this 1618 at 256. So we have some fibs to flip here. Start building some type of momentum if you flip this 786 at 191, and then likely confirmation if you flip this 0.5, which we can see it's at the previous range high before this move up, and that's gonna be at 200. So it's a very mental level as well. Very mental level. So that's the bull case where you have this 5-way structure towards the upside. You confirm it once you actually flip the highs here to not make lower highs. And then you're likely in this 3-wave that you're going to see some type of smaller pullback before you actually take out the high 3, and likely even the liquidity is on that setting above that 260 to 265 area. And that's where you're likely to see some sort of pullback. Just I would suspect nothing too deep because they don't like to give opportunities if they're already left, like where the spring we call it, and that you will be some type of just have smaller corrective structure in some type of wolf flag, and you're likely to get that correct continuation towards the upside here into 300 and higher than that. So that's your bull case for Solana. So let's remove that. Well, I didn't want to remove that. remove this. So let's talk about the bearish case. We have a very easy way here to look for this bearish case as well. Where you have your, if you break below that 786 again, you're likely to go below 175 down towards 160s. So with that, what I mean with that is if you do break below this 786 once again, tap into the 886, even if you only come quick down and tap it, you're still likely, a lot more likely, to put in that lower high and then come down, sweep these lows as a minimum, and likely into these sort of higher time frame fibs at this 167 all the way down towards 159 and 160 area. Potential wick down to the 786 at 153.7. It would be a very quick move if you do get that, like a wick down and then just push towards upside from there. What does fuel something like the bullish version that we were looking at is, if we look at some previous charts here, is if you're already done with this. If this structure right here is this structure right here, then we are likely just in this type of, well, it's not this similar pattern here, but just in this some sort of consolidation before we start seeing that break towards the upside here. That you can see I've marked it out. So these are basically the two different charts I'm looking at, where you take out the low, put in that, I don't think we take out these lows, but you put in that higher low from these, from the overall structure. We can see that this is your low right here. This would be your higher low from the higher time frame lows. Into that sort of region before you start pushing towards higher areas. And the dates would basically be the same as here. If you do get that pullback, the dates for last year and this year would line up. So that's definitely something I'm looking at. If you do break below these previous lows that we did just create. So this is one of my older charts, where we did talk about this previously, where you had opportunities to basically short on this 786, take either a stop loss at that mid-range or this 231, and then you can have a second entry at the 220 that we did wake up to with a stop loss, easy tight stop loss at 230. So yeah, so that short definitely played out very good. So right now it's just about if we do take, because we did take out these previous lows back here. And now it's whether we start forming some type of V-shaped recovery here as a higher low, or if we start consolidating to take out these previous lows at 175. So onto Ethereum. Oh, sorry. So Ethereum, we are in this sort of falling wedge structure right now. So we did tap the 86 here, which does worry me somehow. Well, yeah, because once you tap the 86, you are likely to put in that lower high. Even if you push up, you don't even have to push up. You can just have this overall structure here, and then you get that push down, take out the lows. I would be looking at 2900 for Ethereum. That's where I would be looking. I would be looking for us to take out these previous lows back here. You have this sort of head and shoulder structure. And that's where I would be looking for, well, my interest is on the higher time frame 382 fib and your 786 from that local structure high fib extension to that previous high. So that's where I would be looking for Ethereum towards the downside. So if we were to push up towards the upside here, we talked about this level as well midweek. And it was 3.5k. It's a very mental level. We can see that it was the previous range high here. You can see how many times we rejected of it. It were basically multiple times. Rejected, respected, and so on. So that's a very pivot level for us. You basically flip that. You have a you build strong bullish momentum and you're likely to push higher. And if you see a rejection of that, even if it's on a wick, then you're likely to see some type of deeper pullback, even making a lower high to take out these lows, or even all the way down to that 3K lows, which would grab liquidity. And the structure, the ABC sort of structure, could be done here, and that would be it. But it could also just keep on pushing down to this 2.9K area, where I would be looking for sort of an optimal entry for a swing trade for Ethereum. But I definitely think, like, overall, just a DCA, if you were to buy spot, just everything between these sort of 3K and 2.8K, I think is overall a good region for higher time frame swings. I did buy some spot, but I did not buy any ETH, because I'm not seeing the strength I want to see on this just yet. But yeah, so we could see here also Ethereum, Bitcoin. We could have this structure down where you have your ABC, well, sort of a 5-wave move towards the upside here as a sort of bearish flag. And you're starting to break down, but you did have this sort of 3-wave move down, where there is a chance that this is your C wave, even though it's more likely that you push lower, because C wave usually has 5 waves in it. So this could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's I'm waiting a bit before I'm buying ETH. I want to see some more strength, like something like flipping these highs right here. If you do get that, take out the highs, you pull back a bit. That's where you have your higher high, higher low, and overall change in structure for some type of higher time frame. And then of course you have your very high time frame pivot point, and that's going to be at that 0.04, which we have failed to break through for the last, we can look at this, it's the last 100 days basically. We tried to break through it like 5 times and failed every time. If we're to look at USDT dominance, yeah, so this is what I was suspecting with USDT dominance. I did think we were gonna get this deeper pullback. Even though it's a pullback, I would only be looking for a higher low, and I would suspect that we start breaking towards the upside once again and take out these highs. But with how we're currently structuring it, I still think there is a chance that we push down, but it's gonna be very impulsive. So you're gonna see like a big wick, well, not big wick necessarily, but a big candle, something similar to what we had back here. Structure wise, there is also the chance that if you remove this, that we are just forming this type of bull flag, and then you start breaking up again. So we have to break below this 3.2 fib that's currently holding us up. We bounce off it 3 times to get this pullback into this 3.2 fib and your sort of 618, 706. Those fibs are around from the lows to the highs, and that's where I would be looking. And that's where you look for a higher low, where you either see a push towards the upside here, take out the highs, or you see a rejection of that 3.2 once again, making a lower high, and that then you're likely to see us take out these lows, these basically all 3 of these lows you're very likely to take out then. And that does mean that we have a bullish structure on Bitcoin, and that we are likely to take out the highs on Bitcoin. Total market cap, we can see that we are in this sort of expanding wedge right now. You do have bullish divergences here. You can see we have very small ones right here, but you do have all the way back from actually never mind, you do not have back from there. But yeah, so you have small bullish divergences right here at these lows. You did start initial pushing up into this sort of 50 range on the RSI, but you still have quite some way to go before you hit that upper range overbought sort of area. So yeah, you can see that we have basically tapped it 3 times already. So if you don't see a push soon, you're likely going to come down quite aggressively into this sort of weekly support, and that's where you can start seeing momentum build towards the upside again. If you do break that 0.5, which I right now suspect we do, but we will have to wait still. then you're pushing into this 382. 382 is a good momentum flip, so if you do flip this 382, you're likely to come back to test at least these 236 back into these highs. If you flip the highs, that's bullish confirmation that you could even if you only liquidity sweep here, that's still a very bullish. You're making a higher high, and that you likely come back, make a higher low, and then see that push into new all-time highs. But the failure of that reclaim of the 382 does build some type of bearish momentum again towards the downside. If you hold the 0.5, you could still push up, but if you fail to hold that 0.5, then I would be looking for momentum towards the downside. And these are your weekly levels. So this 301 is a very important level for me on total market cap. And that's going to be if we take out the lows. You basically have equal lows right here. We're on 305, 306. That I would be looking for. You can see that we have previous range highs here. You made your range lows before that initial impulse towards the upside. So I think we do bottom out around these 786 if you do break down, that is. Total 2. So we were looking at this rising channel last week. You had a deviation, very nice deviation towards the upside. Liquidity sweep right into that pocket that I was looking at, where I had level of value flip. You build up bullish momentum, and you reject. You're likely looking back at previous lows. So we did reject, and we pushed back into previous lows. Now we have taken out the previous lows. Do we form a lower high and start pushing lower into these lows and all the way back into these previous lows of December 2024? Or do we reclaim this sort of mid-range? Well, it's more of a range high if you look back at here, but mid-range of this entire structure at 1.4 all the way up to around 1.42, which is going to be a reclaim. So you reclaim that, you're starting to build up bullish momentum once again, and you are going to be likely to push up all the way into this 886. You see a rejection of that, you're still likely to make a higher low and push into all-time highs. So that's something we have to look for an overall structure-wise on total 2. Others dominance. So this is crypto total market cap excluding top 10 dominance. So basically you don't have Bitcoin in this, you don't have ETH, you don't have XRP. So all of the major biggest coins are not included in this. So this is like the best way you could track alt performances. Of course, Bitcoin dominance is very similar to this, but that also includes Ethereum and the large ones. So I suspect, because we do have this bullish harmonic on the higher time frame, 4 hour, where right now we are just consolidating here. I do suspect we start pushing down here. This does not mean alts will dump, because Bitcoin can go up and we still dump here, because the Bitcoin dominance goes up, then the rest of the market is going to be slightly delayed behind. So you could still see Bitcoin push up and this start breaking down. But once we do hit this 786 into this 9.85 all the way around to this 9.65, that's where I see a local bottom. And I think if you do hold this, you're very likely to see that as a bottom of this dump that we are in, and that you are gonna start breaking into new highs from there. Start seeing those alts performs, start pushing into those 3x over the coming months or weeks, because we can see here. So this is a bearish harmonic on the 3-day, on the weekly. So it's a bearish harmonic, because once we get up here, you do suspect that we do see a pullback. But until you get there, it's a bullish overall structure, because you did make this low, you make a higher low. So if you have a local bullish harmonic targeting into this bearish harmonic on the weekly, this would be a massive move for alts, and it would be pretty quick as well. So first you would be targeting that mid-range, which would be around a 40% move. And this is just dominance-wise. So if Bitcoin does good, alts, especially alts like outside of the top 10 are gonna do really good. And then into those highs would be 80%. So this is something I'm definitely tracking right now. I really want to see us push down into this these sort of 618, 786 regions for this others dominance before we can actually start bottoming out on a majority of alts to see that big impulse surge upside. Do you guys have any coin requests that you would like me to look at? I can have a look at the typical ones that we did like last when was that? Maybe Wednesday or something like that. Not much has changed though, because yeah, you can see that we have this. So AVAX did not take out the lows at all. You have still these lows back here. You did take out. So this was last week. Then you had this impulse surge up, so you took out all of the highs, and then you have this big impulse surge downside. This to me looks like a bear flag, where you have this impulse surge downside. You start forming some type of bearish flag here, and you're likely to come back and take out at least these lows back here at 35, possibly back to 33. Overall higher time frame structure, I'm not worried at all. You do have some type of trend line here from all the way back here, but even if you do lose that, I'm fine DCing all of this into this 236 at $29 before we actually set that impulse surge upside here into this wave 3 Eldritch wave as a minimum target 109 and this inverse head and shoulders target 140. So that's just a quick overview for AVAX. Let's have a look at PopCat. So I talked about this, was it last week or 2 weeks ago? Something like that. And yeah, we did see this. You had this some type of, well, this is a sort of a bearish flag still, but you had a break towards the upside. You did not manage to reclaim anything in general. You basically have all of these highs, lows here. You just push back into this previous low and rejected, saw that initial pullback. So I did have this already drawn out that we did reject. This was the next level to look for PopCat. I am still watching this. I would like to see a reclaim of this 065 before I start buying even more, because I do hold a solid bag of PopCat just to build some type of overall nicer structure wise inside of this range. Because right now you're still sort of flirting with these lows right here. You did not wick out and take out these lows, so that's something to be aware of. So if Bitcoin starts breaking down, you could basically take out these lows right here. Take out these lows. You'd be looking for us to wick into this, see that reclaim, and then you could bullish momentum towards the upside. Or you could just consolidate here, see that push towards the upside from this sort of inverse head and shoulders that I would also be looking at before you actually start seeing those impulses, big impulses towards upside towards $1 and 1.3 and 1.6 and so on. I still think we can get back up into the highs, but it's gonna take some time. So if you do not hold these, or you basically SFP, and then you fail to reclaim, then I would just be looking back at that next level. Like it's 0.33. We can look back all the way here. We can see that you basically bounced off it, rejected off at this level here, bounced off it twice. You were hovering below it, and then you have multiple touches off that level. So yeah, so this level is going to be my next. If you do break down from that level, and that's where I would be loading up heavy on PopCat if you do get it. It's because it will be quite a dump still. Yeah, it will be a 40% dump from here. Would be massive. Before we actually start seeing this momentum build towards the upside again. 2x back into this high. Well, this range high. 3x back into these. Well, 4x even back into that 1.2. But yeah, I don't think we get this low, but if Bitcoin nukes, it's of course a possibility. That could happen. Chill guy. I'm gonna use the screen for chill, guys, so I can get the entire structure. Just a chill guy. Just a chill guy who isn't chilling so more anymore. Yeah, so I did trade it here. I did swing trade it. I bought in at 150. Took profit around 240. So let's just remove this. I mean, there's no interest in this. No interest whatsoever. The guy got exposed for stealing the art and throwing a face on it. So just overall, like lower highs, lower highs, lower highs, lower highs. Like there's no interest. There's no buying. Sure, you could see something like this once again. Like once the rest of the market starts pumping again, you could see something like this. But still, then you're likely to come back even down right back down again. We can see that we have no supports here previously, so we're basically in an unknown region here. If you just use some fibs, let's use some fibs from all the way from the lows into the highs. We can see that 886 is gonna be at 90 million. So either you're looking for basically some type of rounded bottom here. Look at that reclaim, make that break of structure, make that higher high right there, to make a higher low. And then you could look like this could be where your interest starts coming, and you start looking into these range highs. I don't think this ever goes back into the highs. Like I don't ever think it goes back to these highs. But as a trade, this is where I would be looking. If you do not get that, you would just be expecting for us to pull back here, at least into this 90 million region, where you could start seeing some reaccumulation, bull flag breakout, and that's where you could look for a trade once again into the 76 fib at 170 at around 2 to 3x for chill guy. Wormhole, yeah, I have a chart for wormhole. So I was looking to buy it. Well, I'm still am. I'm not gonna buy it just yet. Don't like its structure. You have not taken out the lows just yet. You did take out these lows right here, but you also tapped in the 886 fib from this low. So you're still likely to come back and take out the A. You are sitting at that 0.65 golden pocket sort of region, but you're not seeing any strength here. You're just consolidating. So this, since we did come from an overall bearish structure, you're still likely to push lower here. And I would be interested in the 786 at around 0.21. This region is where my interest is for wormhole to finish off this ABC structure towards the downside. And then I think you could break up into these highs and see that would be like a 2x into just those local highs, and then flip even higher than that. If we look at around the 4x back into the highs. Which coin are you talking about, Treble? Cerebro, yeah. So Cerebro start pumping off Binance perps listing. Yeah, so this is what I call it. This is pure manipulation to me. Like this massive move up and then straight down again. So this is Binance listing perps, and this is the sell-off once it gets listed. So I'm basically gonna half ignore this PA. I know there's a bunch of shorts that entered on here, so you do have a bunch of liquidity all the way up here. So once you start moving here, form some type of bottom once again, then you can see an overall pretty quick move back up into these sort of highs. But as of right now, you did take out the local lows. If I can remove this. So if you look back here, you did take out these lows right here. You sort of had a deviation back in. I suspect we do, if Bitcoin pushes up, you could see it pushed up into these sort of highs at 300 million. It's going to be around that mid-range for this type of stuff. Let's see if I can find something here. Yeah, around that mid-range at 355. Reclaim of that, you start building bullish momentum once again for a push up. Rejection of that, you're still likely to come back to the lows, potentially break the lows again, and then you could get that final move that we are waiting for. You do have a bunch of liquidity around here, so you could also be looking to taking out these highs, lows slightly lower, which is why we could get this second move towards the downside. Take out the lows once again, and then we could start pushing that move. And that would be around a 200 to 250 million region, where I see it's bottoming out. Yeah, so that's for those coins. Do we have any more requests? Also, Tribal, which coin were you talking about when you were looking for the short? Was it Chill Guy? I wouldn't short Chill Guy. Why wouldn't I short Chill Guy? Because you're shorting it straight into support. Even if you do get this pushback into this sort of 150 million region, that's where you could look for shorts. But shorting right now doesn't really make sense. Like if I would have to have a very tight stop loss. And even if that stop loss is it, you could still you come here, take me out, and then start breaking down again. So that doesn't really make sense here. Also, after your shorts could have been back here, you could have seen these shorts back here, but doesn't necessarily make sense to short at your range lows into that previous nothing, basically. Mumu. This is another meme coin that's been lacking. Let's see if I have any old stuff on it. This chart is crazy. There's one guy that aped 2 million into one candle. Right there. I mean, the chart looks a lot better because of you have this structure back here. So compared to Chill Guy, a lot better. But still, overall, you have your ranges. Let's just start putting out some lines here. Yeah, so that's basically it. We could use some fibs here as well, but I'm not gonna use that. Way too high. So 886 is gonna be around 32 million. So that's where you would be looking for a bottoming structure. This overall structure does not look done yet. You do have a sort of a 5-way structure to downside here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you should be finding some type of bottom here soon. But yeah, so it could be considered as an ABC corrective structure as well. It's actually interesting at these levels because it's interesting at these levels because your risk is so low compared to what the highs and stuff upside can compare to. So I would be looking for some type of consolidation here into these 886 at 30 million. Some type of bottoming structure. Get that maybe reclaiming above that 886 again. Form this sort of inverse head and shoulders here. And then you can push up, targeting that 618 first at 100 million. Would be around the 3x. I don't think we push into 13 million. That's just previous range lows we can look at. But around that 25 to 35 is where I would be looking for an overall bottoming structure. Of course, I love my consolidation, so I would like if you do come down here that you form some type of consolidation. We can also use very aggressive trend line from here. Can't use that really. So we can use this very aggressive trend line here. So you start breaking above this, breaking from this, breaking out from some type of higher time frame candles closes here in some type of bull flag formation. Then you could start looking for that buy. easy invalidation. You're just gonna have your stops below that previous low that you did create and just move down. And then that's where I would be looking for this push up into 60 million, where you either reclaim or reject. So that will be around the 2x, and then back into this 109,618 fib. Then of course you can scale off on each fib on the way up again. But not a bad chart overall. It's just the fact that you did have a crazy pullback like this shows that you're a lot better off just trading this and not having it in your spot bags, because you don't want to see like a minus 90% on your spot bag coins. Meanwhile, everything else does like a 30%. Cat with hat. I have zero interest in it. Absolutely no interest in it. It's a deriv of a deriv. Like, good trade for everyone that bought. It does not make sense for me. I can give you just a review of the charts here. So overall, you had this very impulsive structure to the upside. That's 5 waves. Even though this is likely, I mean, you just simple here. You have your support, previous highs there. You have your previous lows there. As long as you hold above these supports, your should likely be good for higher. But if you start breaking down here, you could quite aggressively push down into these previous lows here at 15 million, which would be like a minus 50% from where we're currently at. But if you hold above that, you could still like initially sort of push up into these highs, 40 million ish. If you see a break there, or if you see a lower high, that's something you have to look for if you do come up there. But yeah, so it's a derivative. So overall, it's like a dog with hat. We have that, we have a shark with hat or something like that, and then we have another calf with hat as well. Cat. I can't write. Well, it's probably a million cat with hats now, but yes, you do have this also. So this is, I think, the OG one. Even though it's not a normal coin, it's one of the flux beam ones, where it pushed 70 million. Peace. Let's have a look at that. Yeah, so I don't mind it's where it's sitting right now. You did take out the lows here, which is nice. Could start seeing some type of strength here. Reclaim level remains the same. That's 0.3839 is where you would be looking for a reclaim. Even if you do push lower right now, like where I'm looking at is this wick back here at 0.29, which if Bitcoin breaks down, I do think we see that move down here pretty quick. Just move down, sort of move down below it, reclaim it, and then start breaking towards the upside. Where I see this sort of V-shaped recovery, or your handle, if you're off your sort of cup and handle here. So as long as you don't basically break below these lows right here at 0.2, 0.22, I think the overall structure for PITH is bullish, and you will likely start pushing towards the upside. Yes, their tech overall is very good, and they're expanding sort of every day. So yeah, just this is like a good DCA zone. This is where I would be interested in DCAing if I didn't hold any below that 0.33 into the 0.29. Overall structure wise, we could be seeing this as a corrective structure here. Of course, not going to be easy to count these as waves, but if you were to do it, this is likely a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 into the upside here, and you are likely just in a some type of, if this is your ABC, or if you are in a 5-way structure to the downside here, could also be the case. But yeah, so I would suspect we start seeing some strength soon, but if others dominance start bottoming out. These like especially coins like Pyth, Droop, Wormhole, like more of these mid-range low cap coins, like 1 billion, like 3 to 1 billion sort of market cap wise, they're gonna move quick. Yeah, so like just back into the highs from there would be around the 2x, almost 86%. And that, like, we could see, just look back at previous structures like this 40% move happened in like the span of 19 days. In USDT. Is it this one? Oh yeah, I think I have to just go here. This one is 2 years and 1 month old. All right. Well, that's a very strong. I mean, this is like a copy paste, but isn't this just a Solana? If I look at this, yeah. So it's just gonna follow Solana price. So if Solana goes up, Inf goes up. So it's this. I saw it instantly. It's the same structure overall. Oh, accidentally clicked away from it. So we like it's the exact same structure as Solana. You have this initial move down. You have that initial push. You did not take out the lows on the after this manipulation move up. You did take out these previous lows back here. Well, did you do it here? Let's see. Oh, you did not actually take out. You have equal lows right there. Well, you did. Never mind. You did take out the lows. So you took out the lows. So if Solana starts breaking up again, if you break below the lows, you'll likely come back lower into these regions. And that's where you start pushing up again. And if you break basically above this previous range high here, you're likely to see some type of impulse move towards the upside. Confirmation is once you break above that previous high at 60 million. But yeah, so this will move just like it's basically connected to Solana. So Solana pumps, this pumps. Solana dumps, this dumps. Let's look at AI16. Let's look at this one. $1.18. So I have a chart for this? I feel like I did do one pretty recent. Maybe not. Never mind. So let's have a look at this. Let's look at 8 hour. We can just look of the overall structure here. You can see that you have some sort of trend line here. This is where you're coming down right now to. I don't mind this at all. So fibs, you tapped into golden pocket. This could be around there. So yeah, like this, you're below discount. You're coming back down to good levels to DCA spot. Basically anything inside of this is where I will be looking for a spot on something like AI16. As one of the main sort of AI agents out there, you reach all the way up to 2.7. You had a quite aggressive of sell-off. But you are looking at this as sort of a three-way structure here, where you're either going to bottom out into this golden pocket and you push up into 0.382, 1.7. Here you could see a rejection and push lower from there. But like overall structure-wise, still looks pretty good compared to something like Cerebro or even I mean, there's a lot of other ones as well. But yeah, if you do not hold here at the 618, I'd just be looking back at these previous. We can see here you have lows, highs, lows, highs. So that's 660 million. That's like your optimal entry for higher time frame back here. For a swing trade up in 2x into that 0.5. You're almost a 3x into the 3-2 fib, but this could likely push up into the highs again if the market starts picking up towards the heavily. Could fill the wick here. 4.7, maybe that's the high. But yeah, so this I like this level. I like this bounce. It's a good reaction also. We can start zooming in even on the lower time frames. You did see a nice initial reaction, but you would like to see this candle here stay green or white in my case, because I have different colors. We can also use something like just a simple trend line, where you basically just wait for this breakout here. See consolidation, you break out. That's where you buy in. Invalidation at the stops. Well, stops below those lows. And then you just swing trade this into this 0.5, 3, 2. Play it quite aggressively. And then you can re-evaluate if you do see that pushback. Basically just break above these highs. These are your highs you want to break above to change the structure, make that higher low, and then you can see that push for further continuation. So yeah, that's definitely what I would be looking at for AI16. And your optimal entry is gonna be this 786 660 million market. Y and A. Yes, no. That's your expanding wedge towards the upside here. That's your deviation. You have your mid-range around that 60 million. I would not be interested in anything above the 60 million. Just playing it simple here. So we have your range low to range highs. Below 618 is where I would be interested in swing trading this to sort of have that optimized risk to reward. You could be looking at these lows right here as sort of an entry, where you basically come down here, you come down, take those lows out, reclaim, and then you start seeing that push towards upside. If your that doesn't hold, you're looking at likely into these range lows, 50 to 40 million. You have this sort of trend line also. You're still making an overall higher low, so I don't think you break below these. But buying right now, it's a bit too much risk for me. Consider you get like 30% towards the upside, but you also have a chance of getting a cut 50% towards the downside. Yeah, so these are the levels I would be looking at. Just as simple as that. Below 60, 66, well in this case. And if you do break below that, you're looking back into that 50 to 60 million region. And then you have easy invalidations also if you do take it off these. So if you do basically enter here, you can easy invalidation below this low. Or if you do enter here, easy invalidation below this low back here. Basically making your risk very small, but your reward is very big compared to it. Let's have a look here. If there's no more requests, I'm gonna end it there. And I will be back about an hour. And then I will be looking at, let's look at render. Last second request. Ooh. I think render has some downside still. You have this sort of bear flag forming out. This does have the chance to break out, but your chances are higher that you break down after a structure like this. So I'm looking for renders to slightly lower here. At least take out this low at the 2, where I think this one could push up. Like Bitcoin breaks down, I see it pushing down all the way to the 786. Take out these A lows, and that's 5.7. Would be quite a drop from here, but 20% drop. But I would be fine with that. Like an overall, the entire DCA zone for me for render is this box right here. So between 6.8 and 5.7 is where I'm interested in DCAing. Same as AVAX here, we have this overall very nice structure. This inverse head and shoulders, as well as you do have a very nice sort of corrective structure down here. You don't really have any waves inside of this, but this would be your initial 1, 2, and then you'll be looking for a 3 wave up into that 18 bucks. Or if you want to look at it more conservative, just those previous highs back at 13. So that from where we're currently at would be around that 87% to 2.5x. If you do break below to that 6 or just that mid-range, you'd be looking at around the 2x back into the highs, and then around the 3x back into that wave 3 target at 18. These will all eventually run. That's how it is, and we just gotta stay patient. See what the news next week will do to us. If it's just gonna dump us and maybe that's the bottom, or it's gonna be an overall run up. Yeah, so that's it for render. Well, I will end the recording there.